And then they were like, yo, do you want a machine gun?
Bigger gun. Oof.
And I was like, yeah. And then I realized, I was like, oh my God, this is a lot of fun, but at the same time, I was like, holy shit, this is too easy. Like, this is way too easy.
Yeah.
The question we have to face right now is, what the heck?
I'm getting ready to win.
That's a really nice Bushido face. In what way, if any, do America's gun laws need to change?
Gun laws?
Gun
laws.
Oh, dude, a fuck ton.
How?
Bart's like, we gotta get away with all of the rules.
All of the laws.
In which direction, in what way?
Man, it's such a complex topic because I think it's circumstantial because high population density areas have different needs and like different rules for low population density areas for this particular thing. If we're talking about self-defense and protection and all that too. Or like high crime rate areas versus like low crime. I don't know, you know.
I think I would have an unpopular
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, what's your unpopular opinion?
Might as well start with that.
Yeah, because
I think, and this goes with not just guns, but with a lot of type of gadgets.
okay.
The lower the IQ, the less privileges.
So what you're saying is there should be an aptitude test of sorts to
Yeah. So like,
try people's gun skills before they purchase
So
one.
let's say
So
for
common
example,
sense, I know.
let's say for example, you're like, you're retarded. Okay?
Double
You're
digit
retarded.
IQ.
And in America, we have the Second Amendment, and also we believe everyone should be able to drive whatever. But if you're retarded, your car only goes up to 10 miles an hour. Can't kill too much. Maybe you run into a building. And then maybe the gun you buy comes with one bullet. You know, you can protect yourself. And then if you use that bullet,
Sharpshooter, you're a sniper.
it comes with one bullet.
150 cal.
When you run out,
122.
you gotta wait till next year.
Yeah.
You get till you get your next bullet fucking allotment. You know?
I think in your case, so your two examples for the driver's license and both for purchasing.
Because I see a lot of parallels in those two.
But like,
No. What I'm saying is there's already tests to screen out the dodo birds.
The tests aren't that good.
for the driver's license, but
Maybe you need to up it by a little bit.
I bet the driving test is harder
here's the
than the
thing.
gun test.
The Supreme Court apparently is arguing about bump stocks. I don't know anything about guns. All I know is it's like they don't want anyone to have bump stocks because it could turn it into an automatic machine gun.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm like, this is what I don't get. If you're holding a gun and I can unload hundreds of bullets in a second, isn't that a machine gun?
Yeah, I don't even know what a bump stock is either.
That's what they're saying. These are the terms they use. I'm just repeating. I don't know, it just looks like an add-on. Like, you know, a GoldenEye add-on. Ching-ching. Like,
They use terms like assault rifle, and AR doesn't even stand for that, so.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
let's
they
find
think it
out what the
means
facts
assault
are
rifle
first.
like 14 or whatever.
So with that example, like if the lowest standard to get a driver's license is you can drive 10 miles an hour, right? Because you're just not very smart. Then the same thing, like if it takes a bunch of licenses to drive a F1 race car, that's kind of how I view it.
Okay.
Well, there technically is though, right? You have to take tests in California, you have to take tests to buy a handgun, right? In order to have like a silencer or whatever, you need an FFL license. You need higher clearances in order to get it.
but how many...
But are you saying it needs to be harder?
I'm saying this Taekwondo school doesn't have enough belts. That's what I'm saying. It's white belt, black belt.
The specialization.
But then white belt also gets to play with nunchucks and spears.
And hurt themselves with it?
Yeah. So what I'm saying is like white belt, you get the dummy. Yellow belt, you get this, you know, and then like.
So I think it works if the regulators aren't dummies. So the thing is,
the big problem.
the problem is
Who gets
you
to
got
judge that?
you got a population who's dummies, right? But if you have the enforcers of the rule that are also dummies, then they're not going to enforce it correctly.
So there's a lot of videos back in the day of when they added seatbelts. And like everyone from the older generation being like, this is fucking stupid. Like, blah, blah, blah.
Tyranny.
Yeah, this is crazy. And apparently what they did was they started teaching the kids in school, like, you gotta wear your seatbelt. This is what happens when you don't. They show the test dummy going 50 miles an hour and just hitting a wall.
Yeah.
And the dummy's brain just exploding everywhere. So the kids were like, oh fuck, we're wearing our seatbelt. But I don't know, dude. There's a school shooting fucking every fucking month.
There's also video of when they first passed that you can't drink and drive.
Oh yeah. People are going crazy.
Telling me I can't drink a beer after work.
I thought this was America.
Same person who's complaining about that. It's that same exact person.
Wait, but I thought that video was in the UK and they're like British or something.
Oh, maybe that one was. Yeah, that was. I think that one was British. The one that I'm thinking.
Wait, what was?
Yeah. But so like, let's say that obviously whenever there's like a school shooting, which we have lots of, and then right after there's like a huge, it like reignites the war of like more gun control. No, it's fine. Like,
Well, I think like
You guys have guns, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever had to use your gun in a self-defense situation? In a private, like, not
One
in-
time, and I was actually scared
And you're trained.
because of the state I was in.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, is this gonna have to be one of those times where I protect myself
And then go to
I'm
jail.
like, I don't want to go to jail either. Fuck it.
He's like, I was like, wait, before he shoots me, I'm gonna just shoot myself.
But I do live in Los Angeles.
Hey, shoot me really quick.
No.
Come on, let me graze me.
It's like I have it, but I can't use it.
See, that also is like the catch-22 to that point. It's like if you're gonna allow someone to buy the gun for self-defense, and then someone is crossing that threshold where then the user has to use it for self-defense.
Well, in California, the laws have a lot of like fucking booby traps in them, so it's kind of scary.
yeah, it's state dependent. Yeah.
Honestly, the safest way in California is like, you better not fucking shoot me or I'll shoot myself.
Real. Like that would work more.
They're like, all right, well, man, I don't know what to do, dude.
There's a recent
Did you have to shoot it was just like, oh, who's there?
huh?
Like, what happened? Oh, was it serious?
No, there was a recent incident in California, and I think it was Hollywood.
Yeah.
But the guy was coming home and was like bringing food, and when he opened up his door, two guys hopped the fence, came in, and as soon as they did, he turned around, shot him, right?
Okay.
And then they scattered. But now he's gonna be facing criminal charges for discharging a firearm.
And he has a CCW.
Yeah, and he's
So he has got all the licenses.
He has everything you need. Yeah.
They
Right.
ended up taking that CCW
away
away from him.
and then now he's facing criminal charges because the culture here
stupid.
is just so different from like Texas and Nevada, right? So I think it depends on the governing state and their philosophy behind what is self-defense.
Got it.
So like in Texas, they have the castle doctrine. So if you're in the or car or whatever, someone's trying to break into it, while you're in there, you're allowed to shoot out. In California, you can't do that when you're outside of your private property. But now even private property is being contested.
That's so crazy, dude.
And there is no
That is
castle doctrine.
absolutely fucking insane.
So it's not quite common sense as people think it is, because it's also dependent on that community and what they feel is justifiable. Like, I think in California or like major cities, they would say it's not worth a life. And if someone's turning their back, then let them run away. But I think that those rules are created by people that aren't in dangerous situations. Because how can you guarantee that this person who broke into your home isn't there just to kill for fun? Like, how can you guarantee that they're there because they're trying to steal diamonds and run away? Like, you don't know.
And they're not going to do anything to me or my family.
Right. So how can you guarantee that that's a non-violent person?
You can't. You don't know that.
But in California, I think it's more like, well, if they're just here to like steal property, then
It's okay.
it's not worth their life.
Which is so crazy. Dude.
Oh, you're just here to take my booty home?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Why'd you say so, pal?
And I think that's where it gets circumstantial and all tricky. And there's also like, we live in a population with like 300 million people. We're not gonna ever agree on one thing. So it's state specific. And I think like also being married to like a British, right? Like the way they think about guns and the way the Europeans and everybody, she told me that she didn't quite get it until she moved here. Oh. She says out there, we just look fucking nuts. And on top of that, their media, they get the worst shit about the US. Yeah. So we're just like fat Walmart creatures that are shooting each other.
They're punching down on us. Fat Walmart creatures.
It's Wally meets Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But then when she's like, oh, I really understood it now that I'm here, like practically, it's more like it exists anyway, so you might as well learn it and figure it out. Because she goes, well, if you want to remove it, right? Like if you want to have the European mentality of, well, we should just ban it altogether. Well, she goes, how do you even go by that process? And no one can even address that. Because she was like looking at the stats and the amount of guns in this country. I think there's like 10 per person or something. And she goes, so if that's there, how do you even begin to remove that from the public?
Yeah, how do you?
And then so
You make it expensive.
And that's just the registered one.
that's just yeah. So then she's like, what's the practical approach if we are going to make that move toward a gun-free country? She's like, no one will be able to answer that. So it's one of those things where it's already released, right? So how do you make the best out of the situation? Because also there is a huge part of the population that believe like, well, if you do try to take this away from me, then you're going to take away my like freedom. So it might cause a civil war, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, so why antagonize?
But to that point, it's like the United States is the only country that has this level of issue. Like every country on the planet has guns.
Yeah.
So if this was an isolated case, I'd be like, okay. But the truth is, there are many rural areas in many other parts of other countries that deal with this. Like, oh, I'm by myself. Response time would be very long. Some places don't have electricity. Like, who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah.
But they don't have these issues. So it's like, that's a question. I do think ultimately it comes down to education. That is going to be your strongest tool.
I do think that's the number one thing, because I feel like there is some sort of disjointedness. If I were to look at it from, if I was a fucking alien, right, and I fucking came to like Earth and shit, and I'm like, oh, let's see how these guys operate, and I'm like, okay, so this country, what they say is really important is the Constitution, right? That's like almost their business plan or their mission or how they want to operate this thing. And I'm like, okay, number one, freedom of speech. So if I'm assuming it's prioritized in the order of importance. So that's really important to them. Free thought, okay? And then I would go in like the school system. Are they teaching free thought? Do they have debates? Are they like, is critical thinking like a very big part of their curriculum? Or is it fucking home economics? They learn how to bake cookies or some shit. You know, I'm like, okay, so that's not really cohesive. The second one, I'm like, oh shit, guns. Guns is number two. That's really important. Then I feel like that should probably be like PE. Like by the time everyone is a certain age, whether you like it or not, just like PE and running the mile, everyone is comfortable enough, and then afterwards when they graduate, it's their choice of whether they want to own it.
See, here's my one thing with the Constitution is that what you're saying is valid and true because it's in there, but when the Constitution was written, none of us have rights. You, me, him, her.
It was like
we're not white men,
land-owning white guys.
So they changed that, right? So the guys, everyone who wrote the Constitution, it's a product of time, but they're also
and then the
biggest racists on the planet. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, your point is like the Constitution's always evolving and changing with the times, right?
The times have to change and evolve, you know?
I think the gun...
None of us would have had rights. We couldn't own guns, even though it's number two, because we're not white males who own land.
But now we can. And I think, okay, so there's so many aspects to it, right, that we have to address. Like, one is like public health and safety, like mass shootings. We got to figure out how to deal with that. There's, there's a lot of guns already out there in circulation. So isn't it better to just have like good guys with guns too? So that's that argument. But there's also like, I think there's so many different conversations. It's not just one.
And each one's multifactorial.
Right, and it's state specific too. Because I could understand like the southern states that are very sparsely populated, there's no law enforcement for miles and miles away. Let's say you have a farm and you're like being overran by cartels, and it's still like the Wild West. Wouldn't you want them to have a fighting chance with like...
And they have zero mass shootings there.
Right. So like there's so many circumstances like that, right? Or like let's say there's hella gun laws in Chicago, but one of the biggest gun crimes in Chicago, hella murders, whatever. But it's and then also there's the aspect of like, well, I'm not even like buying this for self-defense. I'm just into the sport. Like I like hunting, I like that. So then would that be taken away too? Or like there's people that aren't close to supermarkets and they just use it to get their meat that way, you know? So it's like, which ones do you address and put it all into like one thing. It's kind of hard.
Like there was this incident at the Super Bowl parade.
Yeah.
There was hundreds of police officers.
Was that
Hundreds.
Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then two people got into an argument and they started unloading.
blasting, yeah.
Like that's first of all, forget the guns. Like there's something wrong with you if you like. You know what? My first instinct is to pull out my gun after we get into any type of disagreement, unless you're trying to kill me.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that goes to like responsible.
Yeah.
The impulse control is.
It's just like out of control, dude.
And on the flip side, though, you know, one of the reasons why Japan never directly invaded the U.S. is when they did a census and figured out the probabilities, they were like, it's stupid to have an invading army because the population is so armed. So that's a deterrence for that. I don't mean, now war is so different, right? But during that time, it was like a deterrence for other nations to come. And we do war so much differently now, but yeah. So there's kind of there's like so many different layers to like how it's beneficial, how it's not beneficial, and I really wouldn't even know what type of laws would help, because I think mass shootings is like, yeah, sure, you could take the guns away, but you still have to address the issue with what's happening with the youth or people that want to even do it. Because it was actually much easier to get guns in the 60s, but you don't have the same amount of mass shootings happening there. You can mail order guns, you can just go down to the street and buy it. People would like have it racked up on their truck, you know? And so it was readily available without the regulations that they have today. So I'm like, what happened from then to now to where we have so many people wanting to shoot up schools? The easiest solution does seem like if you just don't have a gun, period, it's easier.
But that doesn't seem very realistic.
It doesn't, yeah. It's not
Like, say if we were to solve the problem, or try to do as much damage as we could to the problem within like the next 20 years. Like, how would that problem solving look like as far as, like, whether it's state to state, federal,
here's
like,
the thing that I don't
what are
get.
some changes that you could implement that would get
How do
the
we
biggest
create
result?
more stable humans?
Yeah,
When
the,
people were
the
dying,
biggest lever to pull.
When people were dying from cigarette smoking, right? The government said Joe the Camel has to disappear because he's selling cigarettes to kids.
He's too sick at it.
Because he's too good. He's too cool. He's making it look cool, right? But that'll never happen with guns, ever, because of the Second Amendment.
And John Wick is sick.
John Wick is sick.
And they made 4 of them. Or 5 of them.
But you know how much to that point, how much training does Keanu Reeves do?
He doesn't
ton, yeah.
This is what I'm saying. Education.
Yeah.
That's true.
Like if I have to drive a car, we got to do the road test. You got to do this, which is fine. That's the bare minimum.
So that has to be part of.
It just has to be part of the culture.
But I don't know, because you can educate. So, for example, right, like let's say there's a lot of people that would go to school and they'll do the homework and whatever, right? But there's also a bunch of kids that just won't study it, right? And they're probably like the most likely ones to go out and probably start becoming knuckleheads and becoming, you know, gangsters or whatever, and then they'll start using guns, and they're not gonna be the same. It's like preaching to the choir is what I'm trying to say. It's like the responsible ones are gonna do responsible things.
Yeah.
What we're talking about is how do we prevent like criminals? How do we prevent people that are loose cannons that are
with ghost guns?
right? Because even if we educate them, I don't even know if that's going to prevent mass shootings.
Yeah, because that idea of gun control kind of changes. It's not really talking about gun control. It's how to make the best humans possible.
Yeah, and are we trying to really prevent? The thing I don't get is like, is the goal to prevent mass shootings or to prevent shootings? Because there's more just gang shootings than there are.
Oh yeah, like mass shootings is only like 5% compared to the actual
And then
amount of
even
homicide.
when you look at what's classified
one-on-one,
as
yeah.
a mass shooting, those are still things that happen in the hood, whether or not it's at a school.
Like gang shootouts.
It's kill count.
Yeah.
It's kill count.
Yeah.
And so that's still something that happens. But then I feel like those are two different targets. Like stopping mass shootings and then stopping just street shootings. There's two different solutions to that, I think.
Yeah, I think it's more like trying to. You're putting more rules on people that don't really need it, because that's not the people we need to deal
Or
with.
they won't follow it.
No, it's the criminals and also the troubled kids that are blasting up schools. And how do you prevent that, or how do you address that? You know?
Placing more restrictions on law-abiding citizens just hurts the people who are already following them.
Yeah, because if you restrict them, now you don't give them a fighting chance
Exactly.
against the people that are trying
And
to break into
now
the
the
house.
ratio is completely skewed.
Yeah.
So how do you thin it out and target only the people that are violators, basically by nature, like people who are living a criminal lifestyle, basically?
Because then it depends on your timeline, right? Is it when a person starts to be mentally unstable, there's a way to address that versus the guy who has already made up his mind, wrote some crazy manifesto at home, is literally packing his backpack to go do something. That's a different solution. So it's like even the same, like a patient, if you will, needs different approaches depending on what part of the phase in their like mental process.
Because then you have one dude that's just a snapper. Like he just something went poop, and now he's just nuts, and he's gonna shoot anybody. And then you have another guy that's just everyone around him is also like that, and it's not weird that he's shooting people.
Oh, like all his buddies are fucking crazy. Yeah.
Like you have those kids on Instagram that are like 12, 13, and they're just like
Dancing with guns. Yeah,
It's like that's a total different motivation. But then like either way, the adding more like law adjustments, they're exempt from that. Both sides are. So it's hard to like what.
Well, there are already laws in place that make what they do illegal.
Well, that's why
so I'm like,
they're
how do we even address it in a better way? Like that's the I think question everyone should be like.
Because it's honestly, if what they were doing was complicit with the law, it wouldn't be cool. And they probably wouldn't be doing that. You know what I mean? They probably wouldn't be like hanging around.
Just make everything legal. Make everything legal. Guns, drugs, everything. Make it all legal. Undercut the source.
One of the biggest areas of focus with the guy that's like either super disgruntled to the backpack, it starts with family life, how much purpose and productivity they have, because if they don't, usually it's people with bad families and
neglect.
Neglect. They don't know what to do. They don't have purpose. So they don't have a place to channel anything. They're just all pent up. So it is like a lot of areas you have to address.
Yeah, it's not like one quick solution, because you need the quick remedy of like, okay, we're in this situation now. How do you grab them and remove them away from society before they're like actually carrying out their crazy stuff, right? And then there's like, well, how do you prevent that? And then also maybe it's everything. Like maybe you do need certain laws for, to give less access, or I don't know. Or maybe you need like a change in culture. Maybe it's not even about bureaucracy and government doing it. Maybe it's just people.
Social.
Yeah, like creating a better culture, a community. Like it might just be that. I don't know.
Like making punishments worse doesn't necessarily ever create less of a crime, right?
No.
I think it is all the above. I think that is the right answer.
It's hard to, it's so multifaceted.
I don't think one thing is gonna make.
Because when people talk about any of these issues, right? It's like people love to talk about ideals, like, oh, it'd be great if we could do this and get rid of guns.
Let's be like Scandinavia.
Yeah, it's like but
but it's also a different culture.
But it's also like, okay, we could do that with fucking anything. Like, what's the point of this conversation if you're really gonna like, let's try to figure out what we can do with what we have.
Yeah.
Of course, get rid of all of it. It was a great fucking idea, but go.
It's like Jason Cheney's bit about it, how he's like, I don't like guns, but everybody has guns.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to have it.
I'd rather have it than not.
True.
Yes. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
But just like for fun though, I do like just shooting clay and target.
Because when you're
the fact that I could have one is so cool.
Bro, when you're shooting, it's just like you're learning a fucking sick skill. Like you're learning something that takes a lot of practice and time and effort, and you do get like, oh, I love the process of it.
Went to Texas for my 30th birthday, and it was the first time I shot a gun at a shooting range. And then they were like, yo, do you want a machine gun?
Bigger gun. Oof.
And I was like, yeah. And then I realized, I was like, oh my god, this is a lot of fun, but at the same time I was like, holy shit, this is too easy. Like this is way too easy. And I was like, wow, it's powerful. But like any other weapon or tool, you have to learn how to use it.
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of the disconnect.
I mean, you still gotta learn how to shoot a gun.
No, definitely.
You can't just like.
You gotta take time and effort.
I bet a lot of those gang members don't know how to shoot.
Because
they shoot like this.
About them.
That's why you have
like you're going to a firing range to make sure you know how to shoot the gun.
There's this viral video that was going around of this guy at Burger King, and he's about to grab his burger, and he has a gun in his basketball shorts.
Wow.
Dude,
Like what?
Bro, it goes off.
Oh my
and
god.
it shoots the floor.
Oh my
and
god.
everyone was like, what the fuck? And he's like trying to look around like, what the fuck?
He's like, he farted and he's like trying to blame.
There was that video too of a guy that was like looking at his ring cam, and there's like two guys at his door. One of them was like knocking on the door with the gun, and it has a double drum.
Oh shit,
my
bro.
god.
That's like 1,000 bullets right
Plaxico
there.
Burress shot himself in the nightclub. Giants wide receiver after winning the Super Bowl. Then they didn't play.
Well deserved.
But like this, I'm like, come on, guys. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But then the thing is, like, when I'm in a country like that does, like, for example, Japan, right? I don't feel like I ever need one.
Yeah.
But that's because I feel extremely safe there.
Also the culture too.
Yeah, there's.
When I'm in San Clemente, I don't need one.
Thousand Oaks.
But then,
It's a culture thing.
I think. I mean, because even yeah.
You feel unsafe in America where you're like, hey, there's places where I need a gun.
Yeah, like for some places I'm going, oh, I'm gonna go there today, so I just bring it with me because you just like, I mean, come on, dude, we have people here that's like out of nowhere, like gonna run up and bite somebody.
Nah, for real, bro. Like, no.
We have all kinds.
But then you're gonna turn and shoot that person,
No, I mean like,
or are you gonna be like, bah, warning shot? Like,
no, like, well, I have to, right?
I think people really don't truly understand like how scary it is to be in a situation where you think somebody's unstable and they're approaching you. Like that alone is very, you know.
like that guy. Yeah, creeps on you when you're walking your dogs.
As long as I've been fucking doing martial arts and I've been like nerding out about this shit, I fucking love this shit, right? This dude came up to me and he looked like just a slob. Like he just looked like a fucking crazy guy. But I was like, yo, what the? I was tripping out so fucking hard and trying my best to be so cool.
You should always carry an extra gi so you can put it on them.
Yeah.
Then
and then wrestle. Be like, here. I'm in the position. I'm in the position.
Put a G on the guy.
Just that idea of like, yo, someone is walking. I'm just trying to like mind my own business. I'm trying to get mail out of my fucking house, and this dude trying to like run up on you for no reason. Like, what?
That's where I'm scared too. Is that like so far in the past few years, I feel like the state, California, is moving more and more towards. Oh, we're gonna make it even harder for you to help yourself.
Yeah.
Even harder. Yeah. Now there's no cops on public transport. Now you have to call a social worker. It's like everything they're doing to make you more fucked. And it's like, dude, I also don't want to hurt anybody at all.
Of course.
But like, what the heck? If I'm being attacked, there's no help. You just gotta spit.
And I'm gonna get in trouble after this. If I punch it, if I tell this dude, you step another close to me, you step one more step, and I punch you in the face, and he dies, and he hits his head and dies,
Oh, you're fucked.
I go to jail, bro.
You'll go to jail, yeah.
That's crazy.
You have to go. You take one step closer.
Bart, your idea, Bart.
Don't make me do it.
That's probably the best way to do it. That's why
Put yourself in a headlock.
Just hold on. Give me 30 seconds. All right, it's in it.
Choke yourself out.
Why don't I just take my pants off and start chasing?
I'm gonna tap, but I probably won't get more than like 2 in.
Yeah, it sucks, but
I think if most people experience that, where they had to be in a true self-defense situation, they'd be like, "Yo, give me a fucking gun," immediately.
yeah, anybody who's had trauma.
And we
from-
have, and we're guys. Like, imagine what your mom would feel like, or like someone, and then up against 3 guys that are like 6 feet tall. Like,
Yeah, I'm taking the gun.
yeah,
Bro,
what do you-
Or a mom with a kid.
No,
a mom
dude.
with a kid.
There's
and
no
3
fucking
guys
guarantees out here, bro.
yeah.
In that one moment, you got.
And I feel like if I lived in a place that I felt safe in, like when I walk around Europe and stuff, yeah, there's like guys that like will throw fists or whatever. There's shady places everywhere, right?
Of course.
But our level of crime and our level of crazy is just like wild. It's like war zone level.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't trust certain places, and I grew up in LA. And I know how shit can like set off.
But you just don't know anymore. That's the problem. Is like when you go to places that used to be really nice neighborhoods, you just don't know.
Just yesterday in Lincoln Heights, me and Smack are trying to do headshots for our friend. So we're just like out on the sidewalk. There's a guy with a knife this long, walking around just going like this. And then we have to like go to the other side of the street. And then I'm like,
Yeah, what do you want me to do about that guy? You want me to disarm that guy?
Walk away.
so
Run.
I told the guy, there was another guy right there, and I was like, hey, dude, watch out. There's this dude walking around with a knife. And that guy goes, oh, yeah, he lives right there. Oh, so you should stay away from his side.
Crazy.
like
That's the
you're on
adjustment?
his territory.
Yeah, exactly. Like he lives in the trailer that's parked on that part of the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So they're like, it's best if you move.
Yeah.
Like that sucks.
Summerlin's the answer, dude. You just gotta go Summerlin.
Hey, I'll tell that guy.
He'll come to you.
They'll be there. Don't worry.
Yeah, but it's like it's crazy because that is the reality. It's like stuff like that is probably unheard of to some people's communities,
Yeah, they never been to downtown LA, and you're just out there like buying roses, and a dude's like swinging a chain and going, "I'm gonna kill that motherfucker," and you're just like, "Holy shit!"
real.
Right?
But listen to that adjustment. That dude that guy has a business right where that other guy is hanging out, and he's not like, "Oh, we'll call the cops or let's get him out of here." He's just like, "Oh yeah, just don't go there."
Yeah.
Like that's
It's
the world we're in.
easier. It's easier for them to reason with someone.
That's where we're at.
Who will accept it.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at.